irmã de Moran e Anai, que foi feita refém pelo Hamas e ficou 54 dias em cativeiro em Gaza.
The first thing that I would like to ask you is, why did you decide to talk about this story? Why are you talking with us today?
Well, since the 7th of October, with the story of my sister, I jumped into this struggle. And until today, we are very active as a family, as a persona, because all the hostages that are still there, they are my family. And those family, I cannot abandon them. So at the moment, they are very weak and they need much support. And also, we are still in a war. People are still broken, and we need to support all the nation of Israel and all the Jewish around the world. I thought to myself, like, why we were chosen to be one of the 250 families that got into this struggle. There are billions of people around the world, but then I understood that, I don't know, God chose us for this mission and purpose, and He must know that we have the strength to go through this. So instead of running away from reality, I must be strong, although sometimes it's difficult and very painful every day to hear about the hostages situation. People get murdered, and the situation of the hostages who came and the family is very complex. But I understood that I need to speak up. I need the world to hear the story, and this is why I'm here.
This is really nice to hear. I'd like to ask you to come back to 2023 when your sister was captive as hostage. First of all, how was she discovered that she was under the power of Hamas?
So for us, the day started at 6:30 in the morning when we heard the alarm and bombs attacks, and we were running to the security room. I had this shivering sensation rushing in my body because it was very strange. Why now? And when I came down to the reception, I went down and my father is working there. I met this broken, pale, shivering man, and he was screaming that Moran is being under gunshot and there are bombs everywhere and Israel is in danger. So, first thing, you drop breathing, you stop breathing, your body is completely numb, your heart is beating, but there is this frozen sensation all over and you don't understand what is reality. I was very afraid, so I ran to the synagogue to grab my boy because I saw there are terrorists everywhere and it was very chaotic. When I came back to meet my father at the reception, we tried to call everybody, the police, the military, important people that might help. We called Moran non-stop, but unfortunately she had no battery and her phone was switched off. We didn't even know she went to the party because, she's 40 years old and she's independent. So we didn't know what is happening and that there is a huge massacre going on. And that at the time she was running from place to place, hiding from the Hamas. The coming hours were horrific and terrible. We got like phone calls from Arab people laughing at us and hanging the phone. Then we start getting SMSs that they tell us that we will burn your kids alive, we are going to conquer Israel, and that you are pigs and that you are animals, and very nasty things. And it was really terrible. Even some people thought it's a joke, to play with our mind. And they wrote to my father, we have your children. How much you pay? How much do you want to pay? And they start like a negotiation. And, for us, every minute, it was like hell breaking loose, To cut short the story, because every minute is a million of hours of minutes and you feel like lifetime. But in the evening, the list started to come, and then I had to go through thousands of names searching for my sister's name. And when I saw Moran, Stella, and I on one list, my heart was broken completely. It's like I cannot even explain to someone that will never experience that. She was bouncing from list to list, from the missing in action to the one that were murdered and to the one that were kidnapped, and it was completely chaos. So we published her photos everywhere in social media, asking from people, please, if you have any idea, if you saw this woman, please help us.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I had to go through Telegram all night, and I saw horrific things that one should never see in his life, and it will scar me forever. Unfortunately, I saw people being murdered, being burned alive. I saw little children. I see elderly. Unfortunately, I saw people being raped and much more severe things. If you see the atrocity film, so it was all over, and Hamas was publishing non-stop this terrible, cruelty. In the morning, we had to go to the police to report, and there were thousands of families screaming, crying, trying to push themselves in the line. And then, in a strange way, when we entered the office, we got a TikTok clip, which was broadcast to the world before we knew. And we saw my sister. She was lying on the ground, holding her hands and praying with two nasty civilians, Palestinian civilians above her, saying that they got the Jewish dog, and they emphasized the Jewish dog, and that they're going to decide what to do with her. And he was filming around, and it was completely like bird singing, very silent, like nothing, you know. And I saw her eyes, and they were in so much despair. And just before the film finished, I saw that she's coming up, and what we know, that she was so brave at that moment, and she had an Arab necklace with her name Stella. She's telling that all over, so I can say it. And she was much bravely negotiating with them, telling them that she's an Arab. She please, I'm a woman, and she negotiated her way, and they released her. But very shortly after, a massive of 13 Arab Palestinians were chasing her. She broke her leg in the first time, so she had kind of no choice, and then she was dragged brutally to Gaza. They brought her in a car, and she was almost lynched by the crowd. So, you know, there are no such thing that no one is involved. It's a full-on generation from younger to elderly. She saw a kid in front of her dancing, and she saw mothers happy clapping. She saw the elderly doing the kululululu festive sounds, and it was like pure evilness, celebrating the trophy, the flesh and blood trophy that they just brought to Gaza. A beautiful, beautiful woman, my sister.
Yes.
So, you know, that's how I come.
I'm sorry to keep asking you about that, but I would like to ask you, I saw this video of your sister, unfortunately, and I would like to ask you, what was the feeling of seeing your sister in this position when you saw that? How you personally felt?
So normally I'm a very strong woman. I've been living around the world by myself. I've been experienced to many, many things. So I think I have a hard skin. But when it comes to your own loved ones and your families, it's like the anxiety and the fear, you lose control. And what happened to me is that I lost control, and I fell on the ground and started beating my body on the floor. My father pushed the chair because he was so angry. You know, everyone were so nervous, and the chair banged my head. So it was like a wake-up call. I just had to stand up. And I watched to the left. My mother was completely in agony. You know, her eyes were out, and there were no words to describe the feeling. My father was confused, and it was total chaos. And I stood still, and I realized I must be strong for her. My teeth were knocking. I had full anxiety, but I wanted to disappear at the moment because watching her was so much painful. I can't explain. But at the same time, I was jumped into the mission of my life, and I knew that I have to be super smart, super strategic, and look into the little details, because if I miss one, it might risk her life. And basically what happened is that I switched off my emotion for a moment, and I was searching into details what is in this video. And I realized that the one that filmed her looked very young, and that also there is silent around, and that it's on the land of Israel. She's not in Gaza. and she's also
So
not wounded.
it helped you to find more information
Yeah.
about her.
I realized
use
that
it.
I'm finding more information, and I made a huge drama asking all the Shabak Mossad to
Yes.
come, and they sent a crew to search for her in the field because I said, I don't have time, we don't have time, every minute counts. But unfortunately, they located that her phone was in Gaza, and she was declared as hostage, but in low degree because it was not certain at that time.
I see. And she spent 55 days,
54
days there,
54
right?
days, yeah.
And have you thought that maybe she wouldn't come back? How was she spent time? How could you went through this?
No, so for me, I'm a very strong believer. I've been through many things in life, and for me, twice I had to fight the life of my loved ones. Unfortunately, my daughter was ill with cancer, and I had to fight for 3 years for her life. And a few years later, my sister was kidnapped. And I believe, or from my experience, when you reveal or you fall into this struggle of life and death, you feel the presence of God, and you feel this life energy above you. And I got comfort from believing, and I got comfort from the signs that I got that something good will happen. And I was really like a full-on trained ballerina. I trained myself that if I have the pure will with my pure thought and my pure pray united together, I can make this manifestation and affirmation, and I can change the reality. And I saw many moments of mercy. I can tell you one moment that was really terrible, but thank God.
Yes.
It was okay. So in these 2 weeks, she was declared hostage but low degree, which means she's missing in action and there is no sign of life. And one day my father called me, and he was hysterically breathing heavily. And I said, no. And I hung the phone because I didn't want to hear anything that he has to say because I knew it's tragic. And I ran to the balcony and I was shouting to God, like our prayer, Shema Israel, like, please have mercy on us. And I made my own deal with him. And I rushed to the phone, calling my brother, and I said, what is happening? And he said, like, please open television. And I opened, and I saw a huge picture of my sister with a huge title, Moran Stella and I was murdered. And for me, holding the Holy Bible, the Tehillim in my hand, I was watching almost like a fact. And I said, like, no, I feel she's alive. This is not our reality. I know you will have mercy on us. I took a big breath, and then I called the channel, and they said, we're so sorry, we just switched the photos. So, it was a moment of salvation. And for me, just like, I guess, in captivity, but from our side, it was surviving in a different way. But every minute, every second, every minute, every hour that we managed to pass by, because it was so chaotic, full of adrenaline, 24 hours that I cannot even explain to a stranger. Or I always laugh that even Beyonce wouldn't cope with the pressure. We had like media from all over the world.
Yes.
We had to sit with all the ambassadors from all over. You want to ask?
Yes, I would like to ask, like, if you had help with other families, the families of other hostages, did they stood together? Did you have like a big community of families? Could you have this support, or how was it?
So on the 7th of October, everything was chaotic and nobody knew right and left. But because of the huge force and strength of these Israeli civilians, and on the 8th of October, we already had a forum, the Hostage Family Forum, which was funded by some of the families. And they united all of us, 250 families, in this huge building. And of course, we were together, but we didn't know each other. And I have to explain that each case was completely different. My sister was kidnapped from the Nova Festival. There are people from the kibbutz that had people murdered. They burned their house. They were hostage in Israel, and they have hostages out there. It's so chaotic that nobody even held for a moment to introduce themselves. We were on a mission. There was mutual despair, but there was a mutual force. And how can I explain? Like I said, it was so hectic, full of people all over the world. The media, all the channels came to interview us in the building. All the ambassador of the world came to meet us, and I was sitting hour after hours with every ambassador. All government people, members, presidents, people who negotiate, military. So we were sitting in rooms together, but the first 2 weeks were horrible because every hour or every few hours, a person that was sitting in front of you crying on his loved one or banging the wall on his loved one, he just took the phone and then he got announced he's dead. He's murdered. So at the same time, there was always like a countdown, you know?
Yes. And after that, after you knew your sister was coming back, how was to receive her again? How was to see her again?
So I just want to finish that we were getting to know each other, and in the end, we became 250 and not thousands of people. So, you know, we know each other how we start on the 8th of October, and we know each other how we looked like in despair. And thank God we had the salvation, and after 54 days, my sister arrived. But then look at another family, look at the other sister that she didn't gain her sister. She told me, I envy, I'm jealous. And I told her, don't be jealous. You're my sister and I will stick together with you. We are together on this one until the last of the hostage is coming back. Because how can I explain? It's almost like we are flesh and blood. This is such a traumatic, historic humanity experience that we are the messengers. But in the end, we belong to each other. Really, it's almost like more than the family itself. So you can see how the hostages are coming back. And the first thing they do is jump into the struggle and action and being active. And, you know, people must understand that it's not something that you can prolong. This is life and death every second. This is agony. This is cruelty. This is sadness that human body and human soul cannot bear, simply cannot bear. And the world must understand that this is a threat on our humanity and our morality. And if we will keep on going, ignoring when all the women organizations turn our back to us as women, when all these big government people in the UN talking about highly, I can tell them that they have no idea what is going on. And if they will come to Israel and speak to us and walk up every day to the alarm and bomb attacks, because this is how we live and this is the pressure we live. And sometimes we look stronger, but it doesn't mean that we are the one that started the whole thing and that we are the one to be blamed. No, this attack was attack on us, on our land, on our Jewish existence. And you see people from all over the world shouting from the river to the sea, where is the river and where is the sea and what are you talking about? Yeah?
Yes.
And
So, I'm sorry. I would like to come back to the history of your family, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
About your sister, like we were talking, I'm really happy to know that you form like a big community with the other families and you could help each other.
Yeah, we are.
Yes, this is really nice. But I would like to ask you about, again, like how was to meet Moran again? How was the day I saw some photos of you two together, the day she was released and you were like hugging and I couldn't imagine the feeling. I would like to ask you, how is the feeling of seeing her again? Do you remember this day?
Yeah. So I tell you, I struggled for 54 days and it was me and my brother together. My parents were at home all the time, but we never stopped for a moment. And then in the first deal, they announced the 100 hostages coming out, but Moran was not really supposed to be on the list because She was 40, single, and there were mothers and elderly and children before. And but there was hope, always hope.
Yes.
And every day that they released hostages, they had the phone call. They called us and they said, "We are so sorry, Moran is not on the list."
Yes.
And then after 85 hostages released, 15 left. They called at 3 o'clock in the night, and I was completely shivering because you're so afraid that they will tell you something else. And then, like, I pick up the phone, and they said immediately, because they know I'm very dramatic, they said, Moran is coming home. And for me, like, I don't know, I could breathe again. I felt the oxygen running in my blood, the happiness, the joy, and hakarat hatov, we call it, being thankful for the moment and reborn. But of course, I was very nervous because I was afraid something bad is going to happen. And all of you see that when they are released, they're almost being lynched. And it's really a terrifying moment. And this is something also the hostages are saying, that is one of the moments that they are more afraid, even more than captivity. So, I wanted to keep it a secret, but after 3 hours, all the telegram, all the world knew about the list, and my sister picture was all over, but I was breathing. We went to the place that we were supposed to wait. We wait like 20 hours, like this, sitting nervous on the chair. And then we saw her broadcast coming from Rafia, from Gaza border, and we were screaming like crazy, and it was a huge festive. It's like, you can't believe you see the impossible happen. It's like pure miracle. It's like, who comes back alive from Gaza, from all this evilness and cruelty? And then she came to us, and I wanted to touch her. And you can see in the pictures that I'm not just touching her, I'm like completely taking my nails inside of her just to feel her close to me and to feel that it's my own, in some ways, for me, in my world, it's like my victory. I managed to bring her home, and with the belief, and I was so happy to see my parents hugging her and that she's okay.
Really nice to hear that. Unfortunately, when she came, I know that she also talked about her suffering during this period, being held by Hamas. And I would like to ask you, as a sister, as an older sister, what was the most difficult part of her experience when you listened to her? What was the hardest thing to hear from her?
So I have to say my sister is brave, and all of them were brave. And I believe human being is someone that has the ability to survive, and that we are all need to kind of hug ourselves and believe in our strength. But I heard a lot of testimony together with my sister, and I must say that we were very fortunate. Although Moran being through huge suffer, psychological abuse, very severe hunger, she was not treated well with her leg. She was dosed with pills all the time. But she was strong, and unfortunately, there are other women that were sexually abused, and there were really severe things that happened to others. So, in some ways, in that sense, the sexual abuse thing was really for me something I wanted to breathe and realize that they abuse sexually everyone, because if you have to take off your clothes and be naked in front of terrorists, so this is abuse. But I was happy she was not,
You were relieved that she wasn't abused sexually, right?
in the worst way, like other people might, and she was not chained. And but for me, what was difficult to hear, especially, is the 7th of October experience. First of all, how bravely she ran from place to place, but to realize, I don't think I realized that until today, but to understand what it means that 13 men are coming to you, running to you, and they're touching your flesh and dragging you. It's like she disconnected. She described it in a very interesting way, or that she was almost lynched. This is something for me is really difficult to hear. But she's brave and she survived it, and all of them are brave and they survived it. But we must understand that the people that are now there, and we see the photos of the one who are coming, they are completely falling out of life, and every minute is lifetime there. It's a torture, and we must get them out.
Yes, I will like to ask you about that, if you don't mind. We know that there are 59 people that are still there. We don't know which of them are alive.
Unfortunately, not all of them,
Yes.
but
And as a family member of someone that were there, how do you feel knowing that there are still people there? And how do you feel about the way that everything is being conducted? We are almost making the second birthday of the beginning of the war, and there are still hostages being held there. So what's your feeling about this?
so for me, you can see me also talking in the hostages square when I was all over media, and for us it was 54 days, and I felt my heart will stop forever, and that I cannot bear this. It's too much. The cruelty is too much, and to think that they are still there after 500 days and more, and that the family need to hear these testimonies every time there is a deal, and every time they have to get disappointed, and shelter is coming down. It's such a huge agony that it's not possible that the humankind and body can bear this, and it's taking so long, and we are fighting for the wrong things. But we cannot solve a situation of those
What do
huge
you mean
problems.
about fighting for the wrong things?
There are political issues. People are demonstrating from the river, from the sea. There are so many wrong facts running around, and people are ignoring. But in the end, where are the human rights of these people? I mean, now we have hostages coming out. We have the photos. We have the testimonies. Why the world does not understand that this is wrong, that this is unmoral, and it's war against humanity. And to let young, beautiful human beings rotten in underneath the ground, 40-meter underground, and let them die every day, minute by minute. And those families, it's something that I never thought will happen. And people they have to kind of cope with themselves, and it's almost like they normalize the situation. And people watch the news, then after they go on their Instagram and TikTok and their life. And but for these people, 7th of October is kicking fully every minute, and there's much fear. They are being broadcast like this huge reality show.
Yes. Do you feel angry about that?
No, I think it's very important to show the world, because, we are the Jewish people. There are so many horrific stories that the atrocity film and everything that happened on the day. But we value life so much, and we respect the families, that we don't really put all the ugliness in the face of the world. But it's facts that has been filled by those terrorist animals. So I'm not angry. Of course, I'm not angry, but I'm just stressing out that this is how it is, and this is really fortunate. And we need the world to wake up and help us again, because there was a moment in the beginning that everybody been shooken up, and then there was huge pressure, and then the deal came. And I think the world must stand with us, because this is a threat for humanity. And if it happened to us, it will happen later on everywhere. And
I see. So I would like to ask you, do you feel that your life changed completely after the October 7th? How do you feel about that?
so my life didn't change. I had my life before the 7th of October, and I had my new life after. It completely changed my perspective on life, perspective humanity,
Yes.
about people, about strength of people. And it changed my mission. You know, since I was a little girl, I trained 10 hours a day. My huge mission was to make an international career and be the best ballerina and dancer ever. And I managed to fulfill all my dreams, and I did this beautiful international career. But you know, when you fight for life and death in front of the whole world, and then you on that track represent your country and the Jewish people, there is so much pure love among all of us around the world. We value life, and for me, it's such a beautiful thing. This is the essence of being Jewish, that we are for one another, and to realize that there is such thing in the world, that people just love each other just by being Jewish. So it really changed my perspective on humankind and what is love and what is friendship, and that I'm never ever going to be alone, no matter where I go, because I have my family around, and I have the family of the hostages members, and that I have my own family and my strength. So yeah.
That's really nice to hear. I would like to ask you something more delicate, if you don't mind. This week we heard about this Palestinian director. I don't know if you heard about him, about the director of this Oscar-winning documentary that was No Other Land. We have chatted about that because it's something that just happened. And he was imprisoned in Israel after being assaulted. Have you heard about that? I don't know. And I would like to ask you about how do you feel about the accusations that the Israel community, or not actually the community, but the state, sometimes infringe violence that looks similar to what happened to your sister in the example of this director. And I'd like to ask you how it's to hear this kind of criticism.
So I must answer that if I don't know the inside of the details, I cannot really express everything, but I can tell you that being a prisoner and being a hostage is a completely different thing. Yeah. So my sister was not to blame. My sister went to a festival in her own country to celebrate, and she was brutally dragged with her own flesh and blood to Gaza, into dark rooms, and the hostages into tunnels. We don't have 40 meters underground tunnels. We don't starve the prisoners like they starve them. And it's not something to even compare. It's assaulting me that he even compares such a thing. You know, he is not a child. Our children were in the tunnel, 40 meters underground, with no water and no food. Women were locked in chains in their legs for 50 days, being sexually abused. He was not sexually abused. So elderly women, they took them on bikes, completely lying to the side, beating them up. How can that be? So I don't want to get into details. I would love to sit with that person and debate and look at his eyes and tell him that it's nothing to do with what the hostages are going through.
Yes, of course. And taking advantage of this issue, I would like to ask you if you see if it's possible to end the cycle of violence that happens now in the region of Israel and also with the Palestinians and everything that's going on. You talked about your sister being meeting civilians when she was kept as by the Hamas. Do you feel it's possible to build peace in this place and in this context?
I don't know how it is for the rest of the world, but for me, I've always been in peace. Yeah. For us, it will end. This cruelty will end when 59 hostages first to come back home. Yeah. But then the people must understand, and I will give you example. When we walk in the streets, we are Arab, Israeli people and Israeli together. When we go to the pharmacy, you see them all over, the Israeli Arab people. They learn in our universities and they're doctors. When my daughter was ill with cancer, I was 3 years in the hospitals. I had to share rooms with Palestinian civilians from Gaza. I was sitting together in the same room. My daughter was ill, getting chemotherapy, with another Palestinian girl who got chemotherapy by Israeli doctors or Arab doctors, and we got the medicine to her. And even I myself, with the help of organization, transferred medicine to Gaza after my daughter was healthy.
Yes.
So I don't know what is the world is watching, but we are in Israel, we are in peace.
Yes.
Definitely.
Do you feel that after the October 7th, this kind of behavior of this kind of relationship changed?
No, not at all. Like, if someone will threat my life, I will have to defend myself. And I don't believe these people in Gaza are representing the Arab people around the world. Those are pure terrorists. That's it. Yeah. And for me,
Still, when you talk about the civilians that received her,
civilians are involved. When I told you my sister arrived, there were children, elderly, women. So it's 4 generations from young to elderly. So for me, everyone in Gaza are involved. And unfortunately, there is always people that are victims of situations. And my heart is coming to the ones that has to be reborn into this reality. And this is their education. So they don't know nothing. They don't know something else. So, of course, I will have mercy on that, because in the end, I believe human beings are not evil. They are not cruel. They are born into different realities and education and ideas and thoughts. And this is something that also my sister said, that when she was there and she was with the terrorists, so she realized they just don't understand. They don't know what is happening around the world and in Israel, and they have this really small and narrow idea about their reality, and unfortunately they cannot change it if they don't know better. So I'm not angry. I'm not innocent. I want the world to understand the situation. And in the end, if the war will stop and the attacking will stop, we can be together, because we are civilized people. We are educated people. Nobody wants to fight in the end.
Yes.
Everybody feel when it's good and quiet, we want to earn money, and we want to travel, and we want to be with our families. We don't want to fight and talk about hostages situation.
I see. My last question is about the role of other countries like Brazil. You already talked about the importance of the world being helping you guys, but I would like to ask, what do you think about the role of Brazil? How do you value our position world about Israel and the war and everything?
So, first of all, we are from Israel. We are in love with Brazil. Yeah, we are in love with the Brazilian mentality and the songs. It's almost like our mentality. We love and adore the football. And, Brazil for us, it's pure joy and festive of life. And when I come here and I meet all the Jewish community, my heart was full of love and strength and meaning, because it's people I don't know, and they embrace me and they hug me, and I feel very privileged to be here. But of course, it's once again, you're so far away from reality, and I don't know, you see a glimpse of information. I understood most of population is maybe not so much in our side, but I hope they will learn the facts and also try to look on both sides and have a little bit of mercy and humanity. And let's open up to not just ideas that we have in mind about Jewish people or Israeli people. And but I believe in Brazil, and I believe that you have good heart. You are beautiful people, and if you will get united together, it will be amazing.
Yes. And why do you think that, like in Brazil, that people are not on your side? What was the feeling that made you feel like that?
You see demonstration, you see on television sometimes. I understand government is a little bit towards the other side, but it's not that we deal with, what is happening with you or your population, but generally, I will not just talk about Brazil. People are not really for the favor of Jewish people, and we see all the attacks, and the hostage situation is still going on, but it's like waves. I see that it's like waves, and I hope in the end that everyone will understand that this is attack on humanity, and they will be supporting.
Yes, and I think that for like a final message, I would like to ask you. You told about this civilians of the Palestinian civilians that are not they have like a straight view of the situation. What would you say to them about your reality, about your experience with your sister? What would you like to tell people that about everything that's going on if you had this voice to talk with them?
Wow, it's too complicated to answer in one sentence, but I don't think I will emphasize what happened to my sister. Of course, I will tell them the cruelty of the 7th of October, and I will try to open their eyes that human beings don't behave like that, especially in 2025. We don't share this evilness. And I think, first of all, if they will let me, I will touch them. I will take their hands and let them feel my skin, and that we can connect together. And truly, honestly, I tell you that if I will feel the person in front of me is not threatening me, I will hug him. I will love him. We will have different opinions, but slowly and slowly, we will manage to become one. Because in the end, a human being is born to the world to do what? To live life. Life are complicated, but we have value for life, and they are good. And in the end, this is more important than job and being famous, is to connect. And I will try to make connection with this person.